Okay, so whenever you need that break, let us know, and we'll stop and let you.
I'm just gonna make sure, Mr.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mr. and then.
I know.
So it happens sometimes. I'm like,
It does.
You're not the doctor yet?
No, that's a story within itself. I was in the doctoral program and had a real kind of bad illness, and I was commuting from San Diego to Claremont colleges.
Oh my.
You know, and I got close to a nervous going back and forth and back and forth. And I decided it wasn't worth it, so I dropped out. And my area is business,
Okay.
you know, and in business, we really don't need PhDs. And so I decided, yeah, I don't need a PhD.
Oh, and I also read that you taught at a local junior high school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one. This is just my own curiosity.
I taught it too. I started at.
Are they still here?
Yes, as far as I know. Hale, Junior High School, Hale, in Claremont.
Okay.
And I taught there for my first year, and then half of the faculty we transferred over and opened Einstein Junior High School.
Okay. Thank you. That was just me. I want to ask about that, but, unless you have interesting stuff to tell.
No, I usually mention that what I did. I don't necessarily mention the names of the schools, but that was an interesting. It was an interesting part of my career because that was when I started. You know, after college, you decide what you wanted to do when you went to college, and then I did it. And that was, when you reach that goal, that's very significant. Yeah, so that's the only, I mentioned it.
Okay, yeah, whenever you guys are ready, okay? In 3, 2, 1.
Hello, my name is Lena Hilliard, and today is Tuesday, May
27th.
Okay, I'll say that. Today is Tuesday, May 27th, 2014, and I will be interviewing Mr. Harold Brown. So, can you tell me a little bit about your journey?
Let's get his title on.
Okay.
What's your title?
Title.
Do you have a title? You want to put, you know, we're gonna
Well, I'm retired now, so usually I'm introduced as a retired associate dean in the College of Business Administration at San Diego State University, and that's usually enough.
Okay, we got it. I got it right. You just said it. Yeah. Okay. You don't have to ask, we got it right. I got it right.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about your journey to San Diego?
I decided to, when I decided to go to college, I was an athlete in high school, junior high school, and earned a scholarship to Penn State. Since I was from York, Pennsylvania, I was encouraged to attend Penn State by the Alumni Association in my hometown of York, Pennsylvania. And so I attended Penn State. Things didn't work out, and I transferred from Penn State to San Diego State, where I was offered a scholarship in basketball and baseball. And that's what got me to San Diego. I arrived in San Diego in 1953, and after a couple years, 2 years in the United States Army, I returned to San Diego State in 1957 and graduated from San Diego State with an undergraduate degree in 1959.
Okay. And what kind of things encouraged you to get involved in the civil rights movement in San Diego?
A lot of things encouraged me during my during my early years growing up. I won't enumerate all of them, but the conditions in my hometown were the same as the conditions in practically every northern town. That there was discriminatory practices against us because of our color. Jobs were not plentiful. Those jobs that were there were at the lower rung of the ladder. Opportunities just were not there. And so I attended an all-black school in elementary school. And in the 7th grade, they were integrated, the schools were integrated. And so those years of incidents that happened all during my growing up, and one that I always remember was when we graduated from high school. During that outing that students usually have at the end of their high school career, and ours was a picnic, but we were informed that, casually informed that when we got to this picnic grounds, swimming would not be open to us as Negroes that we were called then. And so we decided not to attend. The blacks, decided not to attend. But it were incidents like that all along. I mean, not only the name calling, but just the separation, the lack of opportunities that you had, the indignity of living in an atmosphere that was you were always considered less than others because of the color of your skin. And so, it was a accumulation of things. So when I was approached by a person who was trying to organize the Congress of Racial Equality in San Diego, I had been active in the El Cajon Open Housing Committee, which we were trying to integrate housing in El Cajon and La Mesa. So when he asked me to do that, I decided yes, I was interested, and so I joined CORE, and I became the chairman of the local chapter, and then subsequently became the chairman of the Far Western region.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about CORE, what it is, and some of the things that you did while you were a part of that organization?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I turned it on.
Oh, that's so hot. Gee, that's hot.
The light, that light's kind of bothering
That's so hot.
Yeah,
me. Yeah, he's like,
we kind of needed a little bit, one of those necessary.
Yeah.
I will turn it off here a little bit, as much as I can.
So,
That's a little better.
well, I don't think you can make it good,
Well,
because
no.
what I have, my eyes are, ever since I had cataracts removed, I can't take light very well, and so,
Okay. Well,
but so
if
you can't correct that.
If you can do that, if you can do this, just don't look into the light, just look more.
we could switch sides. Well, no, that'd be messing it up. Because this light's not as bad.
Is that better, a little better? Just don't
Well,
look
I
into
don't think you can correct that, Willie.
Don't look into it, I mean.
I can't even look out of my window at home because I'm looking out at the light.
Okay. All right, so let's continue. That's
Okay.
fine,
All right.
Yeah.
Next time we'll probably have to get through on that side.
Okay. Would you like me to? I'll restate the question.
Okay, please.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Go.
Can you tell me a little bit about CORE? For example, what the organization is and some of the things you did while you were part of that organization.
CORE, we decided to form the Congress for Racial Equality San Diego chapter because we wanted to work on the same problems that I grew up with in York, Pennsylvania, and that I knew that others were growing up not only in the North and even with the worst conditions in the South. I mean, these were conditions that were obvious to all black people and obvious to most white people. So I decided, I mean, this is what I wanted to do. And when I was in college, I was part of a group called the Wesley Foundation, a religious-based organization. And we spoke to various groups around San Diego County on the issue of race relations. And then subsequently to that, I joined the El Cajon Valley Open Housing Committee. And then when I went into CORE, I mean, these were the same conditions that I had been confronting all my life, and just, you know, I guess my personality is to do something about them. And so in joining CORE, we did that. CORE was a direct action committee. And what that means is that the first step that we took was to investigate companies and to see if their hiring practices were resulting in no Negroes being hired in those companies. We knew that the housing patterns were such that there was de facto segregation in the schools in San Diego. So most of our actions were to create employment for the African Americans and others who were shut out mostly, completely, economically by not having the jobs available. Mm-hmm. And so we picketed organizations. The first step, as I mentioned, was that we would do our research to see if they hired black employees, and then we would follow up and try to have a meeting with the employer to discuss our findings and to see if we couldn't come to some resolution of the problem as we saw it. And if we did not make any progress after numerous attempts to do that, then we would, our next step would be to take direct action against the company to highlight and to bring to the surface those problems. And we did that, against the major companies in San Diego. Mm-hmm. We picketed, we sat in, we had marches to demonstrate our concern. And we did that, and I must say, I mean, we were very successful. At least the results were very successful. Mm-hmm. The Bank of America, for instance. That was our major project. I mean, all of them were major, but this was major because we took on the largest bank in America. And that was a California statewide project that we adopted. And I was chairman of the Congress of Racial Equality throughout the Western region. So we had a regional attempt to force Bank of America to start hiring Negroes, which they did. And of course, we chose the Bank of America because of its size, because we knew if we could be successful with the Bank of America, we could be successful with all the other banks as well. Mm-hmm. And as you can see today, I mean, that has been a great success. There are banks, at that time, I should point out, that, banks, would not even hire blacks as tellers.
Wow.
I mean, and the grocery stores that we see today in San Diego, the large grocery chains wouldn't hire blacks as baggers. And so, much less than the higher positions in those companies. So you can see that those demonstrations, along with what was going on nationally with all the brothers and sisters in the South, white and black, who were addressing those problems much more severely in the South than we were addressing here in San Diego. But with the help of the national movement and the efforts of the San Diego chapter of the Congress of Racial Equality, we created a new San Diego.
Mm-hmm. So, how have you seen the ideas of opportunity, bias, segregation, and equality develop over your lifetime?
Well, when I'm asked that question, I mostly immediately, I should say, think about our two sons who could never be doing the things that they are doing as college graduates today. They could not have done those things back in the time when I was a college graduate. Mm-hmm. Now, the biggest thing that I see that has taken place was that we have opened up the economy a great deal. Of course, not the whole way, mm-hmm. but we have opened up the economy because jobs are so important for progress. And the reason that the Negroes went from the South to the North was for better conditions. And although jobs were limited, there were at least some jobs other than slavery. Mm-hmm. And so jobs are so important in our lives because we need that even though education is important, but we need a job to earn the money to pay for our education. And so I see that as a tremendously important progress, and I think that if we focus on that, employment, jobs, creating entrepreneurship, taking advantage of the capitalistic system that we live in, and make it work for us in terms of building wealth, which I think is of primary importance mm-hmm. now. If we do those things, then I think I would be able to look back and say, we really have done a good job, and we have continued the legacy mm-hmm. of so many great African American men and women who came before us mm-hmm. and fought to get us to where we are today.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that we still need to work on today?
Number one that comes to my mind is that we need to somehow learn, and I think it is a learning process, learn to work together, to pool our resources, and make things happen more through working together. And I think that's been one of the weaknesses of the struggle for African Americans. And that is that we have not learned to utilize what we have and make it work for us. For instance, if we look at the amount of income that African Americans have on an annual basis, we would always have for years measured as, you know, you take one of the small countries around the world, and our resources are greater than the smaller countries around the world. And so, and we look at our spending power of African Americans, where I don't know, I haven't looked at the figure in a few years, but I mean, we're approaching $1 trillion in spending power among African Americans in this country. Now, there's no reason why some of that financial resource cannot be applied to the improvement of lives for African Americans, because at some point we have to make up for all of those years that slavery caused, slavery and post-slavery and the segregation and discrimination that took place. We have lost trillions and trillions of dollars during that whole process. And at some point, some organization, the Urban League, NAACP, I don't care what organization, the churches, stuff, we need to come together and work together and pool our resources and get deeply involved in our capitalistic system and our free enterprise system.
Tower down a little bit.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Tower down.
You may have to replenish my towel here.
Okay, I'll see, I can find something else, okay?
No, it's just getting wet.
Okay, we're almost done, though. We're almost done.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm okay. I just.
Man, look, I've been in them lights are hot.
They're hot.
Okay.
They really are.
Oily like.
Okay, great. Next question, please.
Okay.
Go to the next one, yeah.
What was your earliest experience with the Urban League?
My earliest experience was. Oh, I'm sorry. God, I don't know why I didn't turn this thing off. My earliest experience with the Urban League was when I met the Urban League director, I guess it was, Percy Steele, when they started the Urban League here in San Diego. I have known every and was friends of every Urban League director since it started here in San Diego. I haven't been involved with the Urban League other than with the person who was directing it. I knew the director and was friends of the director. But my involvement has been very minimal. Not by choice. I've never been asked to do anything by the Urban League, except to the last few years I was asked to attend the scholarship function that they have at San Diego State. But I would say that, you know, I and many others unfortunately have been underutilized by, I think that the Urban League could do a better job at utilizing the talents that are available in San Diego. The resources that are available are underutilized, and to bring people together of means, I think, is very important. intellectual means as well as financial means. And I don't think the Urban League has done a good job at that. In years past, I think, before they got in, the Urban League had some of the financial problems and so on, but they, I think, did utilize some of the resources around San Diego. But I'm talking particularly about the African American community, very underutilized. I think the Urban League could be a powerful instrument for African Americans and for the city and county of San Diego, but those resources have not been brought together and utilized.
So I guess the question, is the Urban League still relevant? Is it still very actively involved in the African American community today, or has it kind of taken a step back?
One of the organizations that I and a few others formed in 1980 was the Black Economic Development Task Force, and we formed that organization because there was no organization like that in the African American community, and we knew that economic development being as important an area as it is, and this was before our national economic crisis that occurred. So people were not conversant with the word economics as much, and Black economics was almost non-existent. And so we decided to form that organization. And I would have thought that would be the time when organizations like the Urban League would come in and work along with us, or take that kind of issue and go with it, because I mean it's not only financial, it's educational. And I read some years later that the Urban League, and this may have been like 10 years or so after we formed that organization, the Black Economic Development Task Force, I read that the Urban League was then going to make economic development its #1 issue. And I think I read it in its annual report that it makes. Well, I thought, well, wow, God, this is good. But then, I have never heard anything more about that. I mean, it takes some real energy and know-how to address that particular issue, which is so important. And that's the area where I think the Urban League, with its national status, could really take that. I thought maybe one of our church organizations, like a national organization, National Baptist Union or something like it, could take that issue and work on that issue and organize it, and that has not happened. And I think that there's still time to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Switching gears. Can you tell me a little bit about the Harold Brown papers?
Yes. San Diego State University decided to form a collection within its library, to form a collection called the Harold K. Brown Civil Rights and African American, now I'm even getting mixed up on the title, it's so long, Civil Rights and African American Experience collection. And the San Diego State University Library felt that it was time and very important that we collect the experiences of the civil rights movement in San Diego, in which many people didn't even know existed, that the civil rights movement existed in San Diego. So they formed that collection, and also San Diego State University Library felt that the efforts of African Americans who contributed over the years to making San Diego the place that it is today, I mean, that should be known as well. And so that's why that collection was formed. And several years ago, we introduced that to the city of San Diego and had an opening event at the university.
Okay, very interesting.
And you can, it's with this particular collection, you can the information is available to anyone who wants to access it, via computer. It's there for anyone to access it all over the world. And that's what makes it so nice. It's not just for San Diegans, but if someone wants to know what happened during the 1960s civil rights movement in San Diego, and who were some of the people over the many years since blacks came to San Diego have made major contributions to the efforts of African Americans. That's all in that collection, and so I encourage people to access that.
Yeah, sure, something that would be very interesting.
Yes.
All right. I know we interviewed Dr. Carol Wayman recently, and he had this quote about San Diego being the Mississippi of the West. And so can you tell me what your opinion on that?
Well, it was mainly during those years of demonstrations of the Congress of Racial Equality that we pointed out to the people of San Diego the horrors of racial discrimination and segregation, and that San Diego was had a lot to do to improve these conditions, and El Cajon and La Mesa were just as bad, if not worse. So we identified this name of the Mississippi of the West because we were comparing that to the conditions in Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana and the deep South, the Deep South situation. And we said, and when I was interviewed by Harold Keene years ago, he asked me why were we picketing and demonstrating, and weren't conditions better here than in Mississippi? Well, obviously, people know the answer to that. I mean, it's a ridiculous question, but that's why we use the term Mississippi of the South. Mississippi, San Diego was the Mississippi of the West, because that was, I think that term started, I don't know if it started with the core demonstrations or whether it started even before the core demonstrations, because there were a couple demonstrations in San Diego to open lunch counters and things like that prior to the Congress of Racial Equality. It just happened that during that time when we in CORE started, I mean, there wasn't anything being done in that area of race relations, and that's why we formed that organization.
Why San Diego? What made San Diego different than maybe LA or Oakland or San Francisco, other cities with a high population of African Americans?
Well, there wasn't any difference really, other with the conditions were the same. The way that people got involved in addressing that problem is different, and that depends on the leadership. You know, if there's certain leadership, then things are going to happen, actions are going to happen. But the conditions were pretty much the same. Segregation in the schools, segregation in housing, discrimination in employment, discrimination in apartments and the whole housing industry. So those conditions were the same in Los Angeles, San Diego, and other places on the West Coast. But the way those conditions were addressed, if they were addressed, depended on some leadership that may or may not have developed.
All right, last question. What do you want your legacy to be? I kind of sprung that on you.
Yeah. I smile because I'm recalling something that someone said. I think one of the news people in San Diego was asked, what did he want his legacy to be? And he said something like, he doesn't care what his legacy is, if there is a legacy. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I guess I've always been concerned as to how my children and grandchildren will remember me, hoping they will remember me when I'm gone. And I just want them to know that the way we got to where we are today came through much effort and struggle and much sacrifice made by the many, many men and women, black and white, some whites too, before me and before other contemporaries. And that I hope that they understand that those efforts must continue until we can truthfully say to ourselves that we accomplished it all and it's over. And I realize that would be, the fight is over, but I realize that would be hard. I mean, it's not like an athletic game where you look at the score and you know who won or lost, or in a boxing match, if you knock the person out, you know who won. I mean, you won't be able to measure it in that way, but liberty has been worth fighting for. And I hope that my sons and my grandchildren will really understand and appreciate that we take what we have today and continue to address the problems in order to make life the way that we have always envisioned it to be.
Thank you. Anything else?
Awesome,
Interesting.
very well.
Want me to ask?
Then on the legacy question, man, I wanted you to speak to me on that one. And you did. It was.
I know some of the questions I was like, oh, I didn't brief for them, but because I just thought of them.
It's, and it's a good question to ask.
Yes.
Because it makes everything that I do back here worthwhile, because I like to leave something back here that the young kids can come by and just take it and go. Or maybe my grandkids come through here, oh, my granddaddy did that, or something like that. And like, I love what you said, that we continue. Well, next generation they better be greater than the last generation.
Yes.
I mean, having this young lady here and being able to, share what I've learned.
Yes.
I got that from somebody else.
Absolutely.
In this business, my favorite guy is Oscar Michaud. And I looked at all the things he did during the time when he wasn't supposed to do it. And here, we got all the opportunities today to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
Any way we want to do it, and yet we don't do it.
Yes.
So,
The one thing that I don't know how to, I don't know what to do about it, but that is that I feel, and others I talk with feel also, that we've lost the connection between the other generations that came along after, say, after the civil rights movement, let's say at the end of the 60s, and then the 70s were good in a way because they talked, the 70s focused on black pride and those kinds of things, and that was good. That connection continued. But then when we got to the 80s, and then to the 90s, and then into the years to the 2000s, I think that we have lost that connection. And I think the reason we lost it is because people think that it's over. I mean, the fight is over, and it's hard to see, for the non-thinkers anyhow, it's hard to see that there's still a lot to be done out there in terms of, I mean, they should see it with these remarks that are made by these idiots. I mean, this guy, who's this guy, what's his name, of the... Sterling, and those guys. I mean, that represents a lot of that.
I got lost in the 70s and 80s. Like you, I'm thinking, I was, playing ball in school, got a scholarship, first one in my family to go to college, the whole thing. And so I was feeling, oh man, we will ride. That I remember thinking that, we're here. I mean, had all kinds of opportunities after opportunity. But what I didn't realize was that window was gradually closing. As quickly as it opened, it was closing up. And my mindset was that we made it. The brothers in Texas still fight. I've got a lot of white friends. I was hanging out with everybody, And I'm looking at them, what's wrong with y'all, man? We're here. But they saw something that I didn't see.
Yeah.
I didn't see it till maybe 10 years later,
Yeah.
in the 80s when I realized, then I came out here, and then it really hit me in the face. Now I'm understanding what I was going through when I was in school back then,
Yeah.
And so, it's, but I had a dream one time, and I'm gonna let you go get one of those lights. I had a dream one time. I saw a generation. I saw the generation pass, and I don't know why I had this, but it's the thing that keeps me focused and keeps me going now. I saw a field of my ancestors. That's the only way I can put it right now. I saw a field of my ancestors, and I saw the younger generation walking in that field, and not knowing that they were there. But I'm like, I'm seeing this, man. And I put the two together. understanding that, I'm here because of people, never met them before,
Yeah.
never saw them before. But it's that, I don't know if it was a dream, man, or a vision, or what.
Yeah.
But you wanna know what keeps me going, keeps me coming up, that's, I didn't tell you that part. That's what keeps me
Yeah.
going out. My mind always goes back to that, that, because of the struggle, you know. And so it's one of those things, now, I'm understanding a whole lot more.
One of the things that, you see, one of the things that it takes is educating ourselves
Yes.
on an individual basis.
Yes.
And so many of us, so many are lazy and distracted by other things. And I mean, I don't think anyone like to have any more fun than I did growing up. You know, I mean, I think, you know, having fun and it was part of our life. But still, you just